You've probably been told that Counter-Strike is a team-based tactical shooter, but is this really true? Well, yes, but no. And I'll explain to you why that is. It's true that you are in a team, but you do not always need your team to win a round. And this can be clearly seen in the fact that 1v5s are difficult, yet not impossible to win. Now, when I say this, I don't mean you should think you can win an entire game as a 1v5. Just that you don't need a well coordinated and communicative team to actually win a game. You shouldn't think that you can't win a game just because your team doesn't talk or because they won't listen or play the way you want. Or even that you can't win if someone on your team is role playing James Bond and going 007. That's just not how you win games in matchmaking. I guess people mainly get this misconception from looking too closely at top level or professional games where the teamwork is near perfect and thinking that they need to replicate what's happening there in their own games to improve. But that just doesn't apply to you when you are a solo queuer in matchmaking and you're not playing with the top 1 to 2% of the player base. And just to clarify, I am going to be talking about playing matchmaking as a solo or duo queuer here. You need to recognize that your team is only responsible for so much of each individual game, and that in reality, you are the primary driving factor behind your wins in your matches. Now, when you extrapolate that mindset to all of your games, you will without a doubt develop the ability to carry yourself to more wins every day. So there's a widely circulated rule called the 20-20-60 rule or the 20-60-20 rule or however you want to order it, which basically states that among all of your solo queue matchmaking games, 20% of your games are guaranteed losses, whether that's due to griefers or AFKs on your teams or opponents that are playing extremely well or some other insurmountable challenge that prevents you from winning. Then there's another 20% of your games that are guaranteed wins where the script is flipped. And maybe this time it's the enemies that have the AFKs or the griefers, or maybe you just have someone on your team that's having the game of their life or something along those lines. And that causes you to win regardless of your individual performance. And then finally, there's the remaining 60% of your games where you are the deciding factor of whether you win or lose. And so ultimately what this means is that in a majority of your games as a solo queuer, you can be the main reason you win a match, and your individual impact can be greater than your team's impact. So to win this 60%, you need to learn to be the best individual player that you can be. And at times, this might even go against what you may have been led to believe is the optimal way to play the game. One thing I see players doing a lot that causes them to lose impact in their games is not effectively baiting their teammates. Although this is something most players would consider a good thing, it can actually be quite detrimental to your performance. Dying early in a round is the best way to guarantee you have as little impact as possible because you're going to be sitting there in the spectator seat and doing nothing. So don't be too eager to challenge an enemy in the early round because impact early is great, but impact late can be a lot better. Think of how much impact a single frag has in a 5v5 situation versus that same frag in a 2v2 situation. The first few kills in a round are often the most balanced kills in the round, so they tend to be more risky because you have much less information to work with. And it can even end up being a 50-50 fight a lot of the time. But I'm not telling you to stay behind and always let your team take first contact. That's just being a bad baiter. Be a good baiter. Being a good baiter is recognizing when your teammates already have the intention of initiating a fight and then using them effectively to ensure that you get an advantage in the round. So if someone is trying to peek on a site and clear angles and you weren't planning on doing so, allow them to get the peek first so that you don't get in their way, and then try your best to support them by putting yourself in a position where you can get the trade on them if they die, or just support them with good utility. This way, you've put yourself in an advantageous position without needing your teammate to actually coordinate with you. So, instead of telling your teammates to stop or alter their actions to complement your play, you should be the one adapting to their plays. Sometimes people worry too much about what their teammates are doing, and they end up losing sight of what they themselves should be doing. Think of when someone starts making noise next to you and you've been silent the whole time. Some people react to this by getting upset and abandoning their play entirely because they think their cover has been blown. But in actuality, their cover isn't blown, their teammates is. So you should adapt to your teammates being bad. Instead of that person scrapping their silent playstyle and making more noise, they should allow that other person to continue making noise and then bait them by letting them peek first as they continue to aggress. Accept the information that your teammate gains for you and use that to come up with your next play. This leads directly into the next point I'm going to make, and that is that playing off of your teammates can be a lot better than playing with your teammates. So what's the difference between the two, you might ask? Well, playing with your team, it means trying to coordinate with them and maybe entering a site or choke point together. But playing off of your team is allowing them to initiate that same play, but then reacting to whatever comes next. Let's say you're playing Inferno and your team is trying to take top mid. If you are among the first two people that engage either side of top mid, then you are much more likely to die without making much impact because you tried to play with your team. However, if you choose to be the supporting third player who is probably throwing a flash or some other utility before going in for a potential trade kill, then you are less likely to die and you'll be able to react to whatever the outcome of that initial top mid fight is. You'll be able to get the trade kill if you act fast, and if you can't and you see that your team is losing that fight, you still have a chance to change plans and try attacking somewhere else. Aside the general notion of baiting your team more to ensure that you can have impact, I also want to emphasize that you should still make use of your team when you can, because this too is part of being the best individual that you can be. Assuming the role of an in-game leader in your matches can bring out more of your own individual potential. This is because you can more or less dictate how you want the rounds to go, and you can take those ideal plays that you have in your head and realize them in the actual game. Now, you don't have to be a Kerrigan or a Glaive and have strats lined up with a contingency plan for everything, nor do you have to know or tell each player on your team what they need to do every round, but you should be relaying information that you think is valuable and suggesting ideas and plans that you believe will succeed. So be more suggestive in your games and try to guide the round into your favor. So I hope you guys liked watching this video or that you've learned something from this. And if you made it this far into the video, please leave a like and subscribe. But yeah, that being said, thank you guys for watching. This has been your boy Nile, aka NYL, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace. I don't have it.
Nice try.
Whoa! There's an AK grill. Oh, right there.
What? Yo!
How the fuck, dude? I'm so glad you stuck that.